And you are part of that. Your light is essential. You brought these problems with you to Earth. And you see them as a physical problem in your marriage. You see them as a physical problem in your relationships. You see them as a financial problem in your life. Those are the lessons that you are turning into love, compassion, forgiveness. That's what brings the light. You are light workers. The light has to shine. So as the mass consciousness raises, you are moving into the fourth dimension. You are moving out of duality into God consciousness. Some people have heard of the fourth being shot into the fourth dimension, which means that you're leaving duality and choosing to focus on the God within and leave that painful existence behind. And you will move quickly through fourth dimension because as you have awakened, as most of you are awake at this time, and I would glad to say that basically all of you in this room have. You know today that no matter what the situation is, it's just a lesson. You don't have to emotionally get all tangled up in it. You just have to see it as another lesson for love. It has nothing to do with you personally being a good or bad person, or they're a good or bad person. It's all about learning how to open up your hearts to send that love out, that light out, that who you truly are. That's the lesson. The person is just a symbolic part of it. Does that make sense now? I hope it does. As we move through the fourth dimension, your lives do create in healthier, happier ways because you no longer have to buy into the propaganda of the medical profession. When they tell somebody you have a fatal disease, that's not the truth. It's a choice to live or die. As you move out of all the other types of information that have been screwed and skewed and twisted and misinformed to keep you out of the truth, you're coming into understanding all there is a spiritual perception. That was an illusion. That was like a dream, and your people are waking up out of a nightmare, you might say. Some of your pains have been very excruciating. The deeper the pain, the higher the joy. You cannot move into higher realms of energy if you have not been to the depths of despair. Maybe you went through some very harrowing experiences. I want you to see today that it was necessary for you to come alive and have those feelings. You did not have feelings as rocks. You did not have feelings as trees. They do have a certain amount of feelings. Marilyn had trouble just even pruning a plant recently. But it's not what we're talking about as humans. You are coming alive. You are coming alive, and those feelings are on a range from fear through joy and bliss. And every time you've had that experience and you feel it, that cell of your body can now move into the healthiness that is truly their birthright of what you were created with. Marilyn did not want to experience the depth of stress that she went through last week. But it turned out to be a great, great gift. Not that anyone was supposed to be hurt or damaged or be sick, but the stress of the experiences were so severe, and her body was tingling in stress. It was like every cell came alive. And she realized her prayers had been answered. We don't always go through the situation we want to go through to get our answers. It doesn't have to be the worst experience, but we do have to experience it. And that's what life is about. So in fourth dimension, we get to practice experiencing God's love in our lives. Your cells have to come out of their toxicity. You see, you have been played a terrible nightmare of a game in that the drugs that have been put into your food, the GMOs, the fluoride, the vaccinations, all the different drugs that are perpetuated on the television, all of that. You wouldn't even believe some of the places that are in your foods. The toxicity in your foods is tremendous, and it's all to keep you from waking up and opening up to be able to feel the presence of God. And you people are the pioneers. You're the ones saying, I can do it. I can lead the way so those behind me that still have not awoken will see it's okay to do that. They will see that if I did it and I survived and I'm better off, that maybe their lives can be better too. You are the way showers. You are the pathfinders. You are letting it happen in your life. It's not good or bad. You are wakening up. And when these things happen, say, what is the gift in it? Look for the God in the situation. And now you find yourself at the threshold. Your consciousness has gone and grown to the point where you are at the threshold of saying, I choose oneness rather than myself. You choose against the ego. You choose against false information that kept you miserable and enchained. You choose to give that up for everything that God has always had for you. You choose to walk into heaven. You choose to be one with God and experience the presence of your spirit, now free from all the toxic past, purified, cleansed, and clear of all the fears, because you did it, into the perfection of God. Your energy merges with God because you are now emotionally available. Your cells have come alive. Your cells are functioning. You can now feel the presence of God. The past is only the history. No emotional strings attached. And you create your own future from this point on. In fact, there is no future when you get to oneness because there is no past. There is only right now. And you leave the third dimensional world of time and space in the fifth dimension. You leave the world of disease behind you. You leave the world of uncomfortable situations because people have moved into unity, cooperation, sharing, generous, kind, caring. There's still lessons to be learned, but you will not have the pains of third dimension. You will have moved into grace. You will have returned. The cycle will be complete. That does not mean the journey's over, because we keep cycling into higher and higher consciousness. But for several thousand years, there will be a golden age. And you people have, some heard in church this morning, life is a choice. Do you choose to walk over the threshold and let your spirit merge with the spirit of the universe? Now, some of you might at this point say yes, and some of you might say no, because you always have a choice. And with this choice, you will lose your personality and individuality. You will merge into oneness. As Marilyn was talking with the Joshua trees as they were driving through that area of the country, she discovered that all the Joshua trees have one consciousness, and they speak through their speaking voice, the one that is the voice for them. And it is an equal, harmonious voice coming from all. Some of you listen to the Abraham Hicks books and CDs and videos and so forth. And she's talking from the collective consciousness of one. They don't have individual names and personalities and quirks. Moving into that oneness is home. That's what you have been longing for. That's what you have been searching for. The story of the prodigal son is you. You left the Father. He didn't kick you out. In a mad thought, you said, what is it like to leave and not be with my Heavenly Father? And in his journey of being on his own, away from his Father, he discovered that things did not go well. You know the story. And that if he returned, even as a servant, he would eat better than he was eating and surviving at that point. But what did his father do? He came out with robes and food and gifts and received him back with a huge celebration. You have returned. You have returned. Are you welcoming the returning back to your Father? You see, one more thing I wanted to be sure and say was that in the Garden of Eden, when they interpreted it as the tree of good and evil, and that Eve ate the apple of good and evil, what it was basically depicting a story that you chose to have duality. Good and evil are dual. You chose that. Now, are you ready to move back into the Garden of Eden? Are you choosing one more time for God? This time only? If not, that's fine. You still have another opportunity to go into ascension individually or as a mass ascension in a couple thousand years. Do you want to keep reincarnating? Or do you want to come back and help others, which many do, to be their guides, to be their teachers of the path, the way, and the truth?